notice. All right, I want to call the Parks and Recreation meeting to order, Monday, September 10th, and the time is 6:35. So, public forum, is there anyone who wishes to speak at this time?
Hi, I'm Robert Borden. I was here in July and would like to further my cause to get a bench at Chatfish Island for my late sister-in-law, whose birthday would be tomorrow. I wasn't able to come to the August meeting, and I was sort of dismayed when I found out that the whole thing was sort of tabled. Haven't heard a really good reason why the bench won't be allowed. I've heard that we could put a bench at Jacobs Beach. That's not where the tree is. Her memory and her memorial is at Chatfish Island. And I sent the board an email. Hopefully you all read it. And I'm still waiting for a reason why we can't get the bench in her memory by the tree. And I will ask you again for permission to do that.
I think one of the reasons, and you guys, whoever was here last month and walked with us,
Yeah,
is we did walk through Chaffinch, I'm sorry, and there were, I think, four memorial benches already there, and it's a small park, and our feeling was that it's starting to look like a memorial park, and it's not a memorial park. It's a park for people to go and picnic and play, and we're putting too many memorial benches there, was our first feeling. And then our suggestion of a plaque was to put something permanent in front of the tree. Not just something on it, but something permanent that would mark it for her. So those were our reasons.
And also our policy. Our
And
current
the
policy.
current policy says priority, let's see, the naming of structure, the priority in the approval process will be to individuals who have volunteered for the Parks and Rec Department or made significant contributions to the community, which she has made contributions to the community. I'm tongue-tied tonight. But we felt there wasn't enough room for it there. Because of all the picnicking and all the partying, and again, we just didn't want it to start looking like a memorial park. And so that was our reason for suggesting a plaque, or I think or putting something down at Jacobs. We thought,
It's not going to do
because there's
anything
still
to
more
us.
room.
But that won't mean anything to us.
Sir, what's wrong with a plaque? Why are you against that?
I'm not against it. I just think that to me, it doesn't look like a memorial park. There's not that many benches. And considering the impact that Marlene had on this town, I just don't get it. I respectfully disagree with you guys, but I think it's off base. I do, and I think that if that's the way you feel, then I guess I'll go back to my wife and we'll talk about a plaque. But I'm very disappointed that we did not get this bench.
I will say just, unfortunately, I'm on the Park and Rec Committee, but I'm feeling, I knew Marlene, so I understand, Bob, where you're coming from. I mean, she really was an integral part of,
Right. I mean,
I know. It's a hard,
I think we could all empathize with that
it's a
part of
hard,
it.
I know.
Would you consider a regular park bench?
That's fine. Can we put something on it in her memory?
Well, we can talk about that.
It doesn't have to be one of those stone benches. I'm not opposed to a regular park bench at all.
Maybe something like what's at Jacobs, a bench, kind of like, you talk about
A regular park.
a bench with a
regular park
back,
bench.
yeah.
That we could, maybe put sort of facing the water where people could,
Have you thought about the green at all, just by the food center, marketplace there as a possibility, or is Chaffinch, there's something special about
Well,
Chaffinch?
she loved Chaffinch, but if we could put a bench on the green, that might even be better, because that was where she lived. That
So
was
that-
her
well, we have to
life.
mention that, but we don't have the power to do that.
That's the Green
That has to
Committee,
go
the
to
Green Committee is
Committee.
meeting next Monday
Okay,
about a different issue, but call me tomorrow, I'll
All
put you in
right.
touch with, just as another option, I'll
Okay,
put you in
yeah.
touch with Jerry Silbert, who's the chair of that committee. And there is a meeting Monday, so they could just add it to the agenda.
All right, listen, thank you all very much.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Keep a park bench in mind. Okay. Yes. I knew there was somebody else who had her hand up.
Hi, my name is ELISA Stevens. I live at 12 Surrey Lane in Guilford. And I was just coming to voice my support for the potential project for the splash pad. And I just wanted to share some of the reasons why I think that it would be an asset to the town of Guilford. I've lived here for a long time, and I've gone through the school system here. Now I'm raising children here. I have a 2-year-old and an 11-week-old, and so getting out, especially in the summertime with 2 small kids, can be difficult, and trying to go to the beach and corral, all that sort of stuff is a lot, I found out this summer. So I think having something like that where you could go and enjoy, because we don't have a public pool or anything, would be a really nice thing to have. And I actually saw recently a clip online that was put by Nature's Valley. I don't know if anyone saw it. But they interviewed 3 generations of people and asked them what their favorite childhood memory was. And the older 2 generations recalled things such as like blueberry picking, going and building forts in the woods, going fishing, like all of these outdoors fun things. And then they interviewed the younger generation, and every single one of them said binge watching TV shows, playing on my tablet, video games, all of those things. Not one of them said anything to do with outdoors. And I think as a parent in today's age, it takes a conscientious effort to have a balance between technology and going outside. So I think anything that can be done, and I think we do a pretty good job in this town, but I think anything that can be done to foster that in children is really important. And I know that there's lots of studies coming out now about the effects of technology because it happened so fast that we didn't really know how it was going to affect people or how to set limits on it or anything like that. So I just think having outdoor spaces is really important, and I think a splash pad would be great for the summer since we have lots of nice places in this town, and getting outside in the summer is really important. So I just hope that we can continue to explore this project and look to have that for maybe next summer.
You know, thank you for your comments, and I think we are all behind you, 100%. I think we all agree that these kids need to be outside, they need to be playing, they need to be active, and I don't think we're going to let this splash pad go very easily. We're going to work hard to do this.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, providing we can get all the permits and all the right things done, we're going to really try hard.
Hi, Mandy Sorrentino from 249 Driftwood Lane in Guilford. Just another quick splash pad update. I know Claire is going to give you a report, but there is continued growing interest. This past week, I put a hard copy of the petition out at the marketplace, and in 2.5 days, we had another 34 signatures just from people who came up and spoke with, staff at the counter. They were excited about it. Claire's going to walk you through all the things we've talked about, but I did want to share with you we made a logo too, so we have a little logo for our project.
Starting to make a splash.
Yeah, that's the goal. And I just wanted to encourage you, if you're interested, to join our Facebook group. It's called Bring a Splash Pad to Guilford, Connecticut, and then there's a dash working group. And follow along and watch the chatter and the people that are interested. And of course, I can answer questions when we talk about it in more detail.
Thank you.
Rose, I got 2 emails late this afternoon, so I didn't have a chance, but there were 2 other people in the committee, Lindsay Pantera and Lynn Skozelis, both sent an email supporting a splash pad.
Awesome. I think it's becoming evident that there's a lot of support for it, but we'll talk about it when we get to it with our reports. Okay, anyone else? Yeah?
Hi, I'm Jo Kessler, 131 Boston Street, and I'm here because I've been sort of following the update for the field use policy. And I was at the Standing Fields Committee last week, and there was a draft of the proposed changes to the fees. And I'm a little concerned about the direction they're going, because I think that, in terms of reasonable charges, they're quite a bit higher than what's going on now. And I would just sort of be curious to, what the thoughts of the commission were on that, because I think that, as someone said, outdoors and athletics are such a great thing for all ages, but especially for children. I think we should be trying to encourage their use. And so I just want to draw your attention to that. Thanks.
I'll give you a response to that. It's still a work in process right now. It's on our agenda for today, but when you attended the Standing Fields Committee for the month of August, we are still in the process of going through the negotiation effort of trying to determine where the balance is of the fees and where we're heading with that. Most of the other legalities and other things have been pretty much finalized. Is just trying to find that sweet spot with regard to where the money is going to be charged. And so I just want to give you an update on that. It's not final as of yet.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anyone else?
Yeah, Francesca's here, she's on the agenda, like, down 9B for the tree at Jacobs. Do you want to give her a
Sure,
shot,
can we
so she
get
doesn't
a
have to
motion
wait?
to just move 9B up to,
I'll make a motion
To
to
now.
move 9B, new business request to replace tree at Jacobs, to now.
okay. Second it, someone?
Second it?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Francesca, you're on.
Hi, my name is Francesca Hutchins. I am actually here because I'm a class of the GHS class of 2003. This year marked 15 years since we graduated. I'm not sure many of you guys know, but we've actually had a number of losses of class members since actually before we graduated from high school. And we actually just had a reunion and raised some extra money and wanted to make a donation in the form of a tree in town, just as a way to give back. I know that I talked with Rick, some rebuilding in terms of needing more trees in town. We had thought about some other possibilities and thought this may be a good way to kind of give back to the town that we all grew up in and loved. So we wanted to do a tree down at Jacobs Beach.
Do you want to discuss this now, guys, while she's here?
So, yeah.
Yeah. So the first question is, do we have a place for a tree?
I talked to John Cunningham, and there's a tree that's not doing well down there, and he suggested a replacement with a tree lilac. There's one that's, it's just needing more life. Parts of it are dying. And so if you remember, there was a lot of discussion about trees when we got the approval, and the trees that are there are what were approved by planning and zoning. So this would be replacing one that's basically not surviving very well.
Okay.
So it's not adding a new tree, just taking that one out and putting a new one in.
And it would be the guidelines that we have. for
Yes.
The tree,
Yeah.
Not too tall.
Correct. It's more of an ornamental, and it's in that center island. And if you go down, you'll see there's one that's got some dead branches. And John was thinking that we need to replace it anyway. He said, oh, we have somebody who wants to replace a tree. So they're willing to fund that.
Okay, do we need a motion to do
I
that?
make a motion that we allow them to replace the tree at Jacobs.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. I think it's fabulous. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
I
Isn't
mean,
that
just-
15 years?
Oh, time flies.
I remember her when she was at Calvin Leeds School, my daughter.
Thank you for your donation.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
So will you reach out and figure that out with Francesca?
Yeah.
Okay. Sure we will. Okay, any other public? All right, so correspondence. We've had the letter from Bob Borden, which we've all sort of dealt with. And Rick, explain this letter from the 6th Connecticut Regiment Living History Organization.
Yeah,
Todd?
that was, they did a little reenactment and a plaque down at, by Leeds Island, somewhere down there. I forgot the exact spot. Satcham's had it somewhere. And it's where the militia went across, rode across to Long Island, and
Oh, all
they
right.
captured 91 British soldiers and I don't know, 20 boats they put on fire, whatever. But it was a group of 21 or something, 51 Guilford guys. So they did a reenactment down there. They had a plaque put in, and Todd just helped them with getting the sound system, and they're just thanking us for that.
Great. Good. Very nice. Okay. Okay, approval of the August 6th minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes, please?
I'll make a motion to approve the August 6th
Can
minutes.
we get a second?
Second it?
Thank you. So any other questions, comments, corrections? Everything's looking good?
I'm just checking what's on here before I say anything. Mosaic, have you touched base? I'm like so
I haven't heard
excited to see
anything
that,
yet.
like I can't wait for it to be done. Okay.
No, I haven't heard of that one yet.
I can't, I'm so excited. I want one in my yard, by my pool.
I actually saw him, now, I can't remember what time, but I don't remember his name, working on it at the church. Putting it together, it was really cool, and really great to see how he, was carving the pieces and putting it together. It was really,
Good.
looks great.
Documenting it all, because that would be a really
Yeah.
cool thing to put on. Loved it.
Okay, any other comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
Okay. The expenses, the bills.
I do have a couple corrections that I went over with Bonnie today. On the third page, going on about 7 or 8, SPM painting.
Yes.
That actually is not in the community center account. It's a capital, it comes out of capital. So, I'll show you later when we take that out, but so we're going to deduct $8,275 from the next page at the top, right after urban pest control. You see that where it says 18,118? So take that 8,275 out of there, and it's $9,843.68. And then one other one, let's see. Trying to find it now. There's a duplicate. Oh. I guess a couple pages over. At the top, it's tractor supply. It's on the left side if you turn your page. It's urban pest control. There are 3 of them there. One of them is a duplicate. The bottom 2, they're both dated for August 3rd. So that total then, at the bottom, at the bottom of that section, $17,859. Just take $40 off of that. So it's $17,819.80. So the next page over, the total, where it says Park and Rec total.
Yep.
So we're taking, the one I said was in capital plus the $40. So we're subtracting $8,315. So that total is now $180,351.65. So on the last page, the bottom line total, I'm just keeping you guys on your toes here tonight.
Is?
$182,447.87.
All right.
That's what we're asking for approval.
Okay, so now, are there any other questions?
Just a quickie. When we get the bill from Eversource for the lacrosse field, you told me last month that we bill lacrosse. Do we?
But don't have yet.
Do we do it monthly, quarterly? How do we recover that from the?
Bonnie does. I think it's monthly. So
Okay.
they're $44 each month. It's about what it is each month. We send it over to them.
Okay. Do we have like a follow-up with them?
Yeah, well, Ellen does a good job of following anything that's money owed that's in our, everything's in the computer now.
Okay.
So she has a list of anything that's money owed, and we send a notice to remind people, like, whoever it is, that they owe us.
Okay, very good.
Yeah.
Ask you if you could educate me. Grounds maintenance, American leak protection, treatment for wasps,
Tell us where you are.
I'm sorry, page 1, 2, 3, page 4.
Oh, no, it's Bruce Andy's. American, excuse me. Bruce Andy's is the $150. There was a wasp nest near the playground. at,
Oh, I'm
Vinton
sure,
Park.
okay.
The one above that, American Leak Protection, those two, that was at Adams Concession Stand. There was a leak underground going to the concession stand. And
We talked about that last week, okay.
that $650 and the $2,490, that's the leak repair. The wasp
treatment
is
for wasps
$150.
is for okay.
Yeah, those are big bees for $2,500.
Okay, on the next page, Pioneer Manufacturing, miscellaneous
That's
hardware.
our field marking paint. We buy that usually twice a year.
Supply?
Yeah, it's 6 months.
Yeah.
we get a price break when we order a minimum of 124 5-gallon buckets at a time, and so we usually get it twice.
The miscellaneous hardware was for $3. See, it's,
Yeah.
and on top it says field marking paint. But
okay.
it's not, it's sometimes get confusing here, I have to admit that, yeah.
Yeah, you gotta
It's sort of like a line above, you
Right,
gotta,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, I get, all right.
Yeah, you expect it to be below the, but
you know, it's,
The description helps me figure out, okay, wait, which one, where does that go? Oh, so, okay, that's the field line paint.
I'm gonna ask the same question I ask every summer. Why does Park and Rec pay for porta potties at the marina? There is a marina commission.
There is, in fact, that is probably, we're gonna get reimbursed, because I got the bill and I questioned Bonnie, I said, Bonnie, shouldn't this go to Marina?
Thank you.
And, they're gonna reissue a bill to us, so we'll get a credit, probably that's what'll happen.
okay.
Ask, make sure the company separates that out.
Yeah, because it's on there twice for marina.
Yeah, it's probably 2 months. No.
Marina Commission fund themselves, they don't get town funding. They make enough money, they don't need us to be helping them out.
Actually, you know what, but you know what, now you just reminded me, I think the previous first selectman asked us to cover the porta johns at the marina. So we can revisit that.
Revisit that.
Yeah.
well, yeah, I think we should
Yeah.
revisit that.
I would have.
That's why we've been getting billed for it.
Considering the
but that
number of times I
particular-
put my kayak down there, I think I paid for that poor lot.
That would be the 3 months.
Did you use it?
Didn't use it, but I paid for it.
But thanks for reminding me on that, Claire, we'll get that
You
straight.
know, I'm looking for where we don't need to be.
Any other comments, questions? Motion to accept the bills?
I'll make a motion to accept the August bills in the amount of $182,447.87.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. All right, the department reports. Director's report?
Really a couple to highlight, you can ask questions on any if you want. But number 3, Lake Quannapock weed control. Had a meeting with our new town engineer and Kevin McGee and Matt Hoey. And Matt was wondering, why is the Parks and Rec Department responsible for weeds in Lake Quannapock? And I said, well, that's a very good question, because the only thing we have any responsibility for is the beach. And so I said, I think it's because, it was an issue, people, the Friends of Lake Quannapock came to us initially, so we did things to try to make things happen. So that is going to be under the environmental planner's responsibility from now on. So I assume that'll be in his budget in the future also. We're still involved because, it's still a recreational amenity, even though it's not under our jurisdiction. But, rightfully, what do I know about weed control in a lake?
Well, does that
It's the
affect-
town environmental planner, that's his, more of his expertise.
But will that affect what we do at our beach? We were just using the Bethic.
Benthic blankets.
Benthic blankets,
Yeah,
okay.
just there,
So
yeah.
we weren't doing, all of this was not happening in our area.
No,
Okay.
no, and the biggest issue right now is the south end of the lake.
Which is a mess.
Yeah, it's like, was it Mud Islands, but I said to Matt, well, if you don't do anything in the next 3 years, it's gonna come back to us anyway, we'll be putting a soccer field there. It's getting so grown over with
No.
muck and weeds.
Scratch that. Put that out.
I'm kidding,
So we're still gonna put the blankets down
yes.
in that, okay.
Yeah, that'll still be
Just
our
wanna make sure about
responsibility, and should, that's
yeah,
the
that's what
only
we're
thing that really
using.
has
I
anything to do
agree.
with our
I-
department anyway.
And since Kevin McGee helped us and Greg Bugby helped us, Greg Bugby did, the grant for all of that, it's not in our name, having it, our name on it anywhere is not gonna affect the town using it if we're not.
The grant's already been spent, that was
Okay.
last year, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Just wanna make sure they get the funds that we.
We'll still be involved, help out, we'll help Kevin any way we can. In fact, he's trying to set up a meeting with DEP officials, I think next week or the week after, and I'll certainly go because I want to have some input into, what we see as issues there. Greg will be there, but it'll be, the lead responsibility will be the environmental planner.
Just an aside, we complain about how poorly the lake looks at that end. I have visited other lakes in the south end of Connecticut. Ours is pristine compared to some of the ones up in Wallingford and Meriden. I mean, they are completely grown over and choked. You could walk across the lakes practically. So the work that Rick has done in the past with Greg Bugby has really made a dramatic effect as to how positive Lake Quantico looks as compared to other similarly sized lakes in this southern Connecticut. So, yes, there's something to complain about, but there's a lot more to complain about up in Meriden and Wallingford.
The other thing I just want to point out, number 11, and a lot of the, you'll see the project
We're gonna
update.
talk about that too.
Yeah, it just, Todd has done a great job overseeing all this stuff. He was involved, really involved with the carpet installation, and he came here on Saturday and Sunday when they were putting it down, spent a lot of time here. He's, the painting project, he's involved with getting those guys going, and really assisted in a lot of ways. So I just want to give a shout out to him. He's been very, very helpful.
I've got two questions, Rick. One is, you met with Brian McGlone and Matt Poway about trash issues in front of the stores on Woodfield Street. How is that our purview here? I mean, there may be a problem, but how does that does that fall on our lap?
It's considered to be
Everything
part of the green, even though it's not on the green, but the barrels in front of the shops on Woodfield Street have been under our jurisdiction since Sam Bartlett was first selectman, so it's been 20 years maybe, it's been a long time. And so we've had the responsibility, when we did the trash removal, of emptying the trash there, so now it's under our contract with the contractor to do that. The barrels this time of year, in summer especially, they overflow a lot. They're very unsightly when they're overflowing. I've recommended putting the big, like the ones we have in the green. Nobody likes them because they're ugly. They're not attractive. The metal ones are. But I've also said, what's really more attractive? The trash coming over the tops of these little barrels, or the plastic ones that can contain the trash, and there's a cover on them, you can't see it. And that's kind of an ongoing discussion.
You take your trash home with you. I went to Japan last summer, there are no garbage cans in Tokyo.
One thing I suggested to
There
Brian.
is no litter anywhere, because everyone is responsible for taking their own trash
Yeah,
home.
well, I suggested that
And
to
recycling.
Brian, that, I think he's trying to get a meeting with some of the shop owners that I'm sure Matt and I will be at. But one of the things I suggested is just that, maybe we take them out, try it for a season and see what happens. Remove them. There are barrels on the green right across the street, so people have trash, they can go there, put them in the
There's a
barrels.
big article about, if you just Google it, about how Japan, because Japan is just so overly populated. There is literally no litter in Tokyo. And we were walking around going, we're just used to buying something and then throwing it away or recycling it. There was nothing to be, there was no trash cans to be found. And we were told you take it home with you. Yeah.
Could we also
Yeah.
consider maybe talking to the store owners that if they see it outside their store on a Saturday, they empty it?
Wow, how revolutionary is that?
It's outside their storefront. Isn't it usually, if you have a sidewalk in front of your house, you're responsible for that sidewalk clearing in the winter? Is it not the same for store owners?
You can't manage 24/7.
Right.
It's
It's
just-
impossible. But, I don't expect them to do it every day, but if they see it happens to be overflowing, to send someone out and take care of it. They have dumpsters in the back. One bag every once in a while here and there to help out the town. I really don't think is a lot to ask, and I will happily suggest
Certainly,
that.
that's a suggestion. Another, the other options we've talked about is, do we go with a third pickup, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday? And then,
Adding money to
Our budget.
our budget.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
Well, and to Diane's comment about Japan, my kids did get way out, and they went to Misquamicut, and I haven't been there all summer, but I don't think they have trash cans there. They said they don't. I didn't realize that till every Thursday I got trash back and knew exactly what they bought there, because they would put it, they would, bring some food, buy some food, and everything
you're
came back
responsible for your own
empty,
trash.
and I
Yeah.
thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
They brought it home.
It's just habitual. I think it's just trying to get people
Yeah.
in the habit of doing that. And
So, and where's that trash coming from? The
Yeah,
businesses,
exactly.
right?
I
I mean, from the businesses, right? Where else would it be
Yeah.
coming from?
For the most part,
Yeah.
Yeah, right there. Another option is there's a trash barrel called Big Belly. We looked at it a couple of years ago. It's solar powered, and it's a compaction unit.
I've seen those.
So it compacts, I think Madison or Branford, I think Madison maybe has one somewhere, but I don't quote me on the numbers, but something like, I don't know, 8 times more trash can go in it because it compacts it down, and then you just empty it periodically, but, so, it's another thing, but I did talk to Brian about that a little bit and said that, maybe it's something that store owners can help contribute, because they're not inexpensive,
it, yeah.
to buy one and try it out. But, I did suggest that maybe we could look at, try a season, just take them all. Have no trash barrels, to your point, Diane, and see how that works out. I mean, like I said, our trash barrels are right across the street on the green that we do have responsibility for too. And
Yes, but, I get that, but on the other hand, we don't want people running, we know it'll happen. They'll just run across the street, they won't
And then
walk
those
down
ones-
to the crosswalks, and then we're,
Or they'll just drop it on the
oh,
sidewalk.
yeah, so I don't know, I think it's worth a try, but.
How about taking them out everywhere?
Maybe they'll come back.
But then,
Seriously, like,
I know.
I think it just becomes laziness. I mean, if you just see the different cultures in different places, it's just we're lazy here. Seriously, that's just, it's like bathrooms are not a mess. I mean, it just amazes me, and there's like 4 times the amount of people in a city, it amazed me. Yeah.
Hard to change a culture.
It is hard to change a culture. And they're big on recycling too, so we're recycling here, they've got nothing on us with recycling. Every subcategories are like, it's crazy.
So I have another question, I'm sorry. Number 7, the skate park, pickleball, basketball courts, paint was peeling. Why is paint peeling already?
it was a bad batch of paint, and so the contractor, he did a great job removing them. I don't know if you've been up there, Judy, or not, but it's back down right to the concrete. He's gonna redo it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's, well, when you said he removed it, you didn't say he was gonna redo
Oh, yeah, no, he's gonna
this.
redo it.
Okay, I got worried for a minute.
And actually, he donated that to us anyway. The original plan was not to paint it. Tom Henning, yeah. So, but he's going back to the manufacturer because there was something wrong with it. It did not adhere to the concrete like it should have. And Judy, you even showed me some pictures of it, and I was up there, I saw where it was peeling up.
I took pictures of it and
Yeah.
brought it down, but I haven't been up since.
So he's looking to, he's gonna redo it. I was just up there actually Saturday when I walked with the Wetlands Commission up there, and I emailed him from there, and he said that, yeah, his plan is to redo it.
What's the
All right,
deal
good.
with effective sports fields, huh?
Okay.
First soccer field, paint.
Okay, Tony's report, park foreman.
I mean, nothing specific to highlight there, the guys are
Other than the
flat
fact
out.
that, considering the heat, they did a good job.
Yeah,
These guys worked their rear ends off.
I mean, it was a very hot month for them,
Yeah.
so. Any questions on Anthony's report? All right, Ellen's report. A lot of kids
yeah,
and a lot of activities this summer.
She gave a lot of credit to the staff for the summer. They all did a great job. The water slide day at Baldwin, that's always huge. And there's a little interesting challenge that happened this year.
What happened?
Assistant Fire Chief Mike Shove and Matt Hoey had a little trash talk going back and forth. They had a race going down. I think it's on video somewhere.
That's great.
So our first selectman did it, had a good time, and I would have been there, but I was on vacation that week. But it's always a blast.
I love it.
It was pretty close. I don't know. I think Matt won.
I think Matt did, yeah. I think he did. It's fast. It's the sledding hill. The sledding hill, we put a giant, plastic, and we have a fire hose with the water running down. At the bottom, we have hay bales, so it kind of forms a little pool at the bottom.
They have the hay bales, so they don't go into the pond.
Yeah.
They do.
And it's
They
a
do.
blast. I think we've been doing it, I don't know, maybe 5 years, 6 years now.
Oh,
and
more than that.
It's, they have a lot of fun.
Except for Sophie when she was small, so.
Yeah.
But you only do it for one day. Can it be done for more than one day, or?
Yeah.
I mean, you
it's-
do a lot. I saw the setup, but then.
It's a big setup.
I went the next day and was gone.
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know if we want to leave it all up there, somebody messing around with it, all, throughout the night and everything, because it's a lot of plastic, a lot of hay bales.
Yeah, let's let that
and we get the help from the fire department to bring the hose out and everything, and so it's a cooperative effort. And, then we have moon bounces, the fire department brings their big generator, so we have, the inflatables for the kids. There's a lot going on. DJ, it's a big special event.
Did we get a replacement for our preschool? Our preschool instructor resigned for a full-time position, so I hope we found a replacement.
No, but actually, one of these programs is actually getting canceled. There are only 2 kids signed up, I think. The Monday, Wednesday, Friday one. Yeah, 3 kids.
Program.
Yeah,
It only
Yeah.
had 3 kids signed up.
yeah.
Great.
And somebody tell me, what is Gaga Ball?
Oh, that's a big hit.
Well, apparently it is. Yes, somebody tell me what it is, though.
Terry, can you explain it?
I know. So, I don't know if I'll do it justice. But it's that big thing that looks like a big sandbox. Lawrence and I were there wondering what the big sandbox was all of a sudden at Jacobs, but it's this big kind of circular pit. It's not, is it an octagon? I knew it wasn't actually round, but I didn't know how many sides it had. But anyways, the kids play with the ball, and they all go in there, and you can only throw like below the waist or below the knee, and you're trying to dodge it. It's like a kind of dodgeball, but in this pit. But it's a super big hit, and I wrote Rick a note that said after one of the Jacobs Beach family nights, my kids started playing and some other kids joined in, and then my husband and I was in there, and even a grandparent was in there. Like, there's all these people, and we didn't all know each other, and everyone was having so much fun, and I thought it was great.
That's what that's for.
And my yes, I know, I didn't tell you,
not a big
but you have to, I mean, you bring your own ball, you don't have balls there, but they loved it, and every morning. Yeah, you're not hurting people, but it's like they get really into it, and they're jumping over the ball when they have it down in the sand, and they all had these techniques, and like my kids did do Jacobs and Get Out Way Out or Monocatuck and Get Out Way Out, and every morning they just gravitated towards it, so it was cool. My sons think there should be Gaga pits other places too. Yeah, like in my backyard, but that's not gonna happen. So it was cool. It was great. It's like such a simple thing that I think brought a lot of.
The Surf Club has one at their location, and actually the Boy Scouts will put them at their parks too.
It's such a simple thing that I think adds a lot.
Yeah,
so.
and our guys made it. In fact, that scout, he wanted to do one here, and I said, we just built one last week, and so. Yeah, it's popular. One thing I just want to also Get Out, Way Out, and by the way, I'd like to, Ellen had, Max wrote up anything to do with the camps, and Connor did the swim stuff and beach stuff. But in Get Out, Way Out, 63 kids the 8th week. I remember a few years ago, we had 8 kids in that program. 63. In the trip camp for the 6th, 7th through 8th grade, or 7th through 9th. Very, very popular.
No, it's just, even the regular camp,
Just, do you know offhand the beach passes?
It's very good.
Was that drastically up, or was it about the same?
I looked at it, it's more than what we budgeted.
Okay.
More than what we projected, so we're in very good shape there. I think the actual projection was 65,000, that's 67, so a couple $1,000s more. And our projection for this year actually goes till June, so we still, it's for the season, this was for the season, but some of that money is actually this year, and then we add the April, May, June money to it, so we'll see how we do next year, but this year, our season, we did 67,000.
I'd like to give credit to all the lifeguards and gate guards and everything, boat guards up at Quantipoc, because my children abused them all summer, and they were fabulous. So,
Yeah, Rick,
I think we're fortunate, they're all really great.
I want to commend you, your crew too on the Jacobs Beach. Last week I went there a couple times after work. It's just a beautiful spot. It's clean. It's just a gorgeous, thank you.
Yes.
It's just a gorgeous spot.
A long
And actually,
way.
I was up to my neck, and I looked down, I could see my feet.
Oh.
I can't remember the last time that's happened.
playground, right?
What's that?
He's been making the water clearer for us.
But beautiful.
great report.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Those are great.
All positive. Love it.
Okay, seniors. I can't believe the number of meals.
Yeah, it was a 185 increase
Cannot believe the
from last
number
year
of
to
meals.
this year. And good news is Larry did, well, because the meals the numbers were so good this year, and Larry did a good job managing his budget.
Great job.
We turned back $3,589 from the meal account this year to the town budget that we didn't have to spend.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And, you know, a big part of that is breakfast. You know, the breakfast helps
Right.
subsidize the lunch. Anybody can come and have breakfast. You don't have to be a senior, you know, or 55 and older. Anybody can come for breakfast. And I think we were around $19,000 or $20,000 net for breakfast, and that helps subsidize the lunch. Without that, we'd be $20,000 short for lunch if we didn't have the
But, you know,
breakfast.
just the idea that throughout the year, 33,586 meals is a lot of
Yeah.
meals.
What does Larry say when he sees those numbers? It must just be,
He's happy.
Yeah.
wow, it's like, yeah, that's a lot of energy.
I mean, between the Meals on Wheels and the ones they serve here, that's a lot of,
That's really crazy.
that's a
But
lot
I
of people.
will tell you this,
It's-
Larry and Terry and I
they're
talked
great.
about this, he definitely needs more help in the kitchen. He just can't do it the hours that are designated
Yeah.
for the staff. And Lindsay is retiring for a second time.
Oh,
He retired
yeah.
before, and then Larry begged him to come back, and he came back. He's technically a 10-hour-a-week position, but he's been working more like 15, 18 hours, because we can't do it with the amount of meals, and especially with the breakfast. So they're getting the breakfast ready, and then meanwhile, they're also doing Meals on Wheels. Then they have
Right.
the seniors coming in, and he can't do it. So when we start doing budget preparation, we're going to definitely talk about
I think
trying to
we
get
do.
some more
It's,
hours.
I mean, sometimes I'll come in here, you know, even 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock on my way to someplace. And there are people sitting here for breakfast, and they're still sitting here at lunch.
It's a social thing.
Which is phenomenal. It's
Yeah.
great, but
They can
it's
come
more
and
and
have
more becoming the
social.
place to sit, and they're eating.
Yeah.
And so I understand that it's sort of this constant all-morning breakfast that's
Doesn't
going
stop.
on down there.
And we've had 30, 35 people for breakfast sometimes
Yes,
now. It's
the
not just a
tables
few.
are filled.
Yeah.
I mean, I punch, you know, I walk in the door and I think, whoa, you know? So it's great, I'm glad it's being used, but I understand where he needs more help, because it's not just the senior lunch that he has to prepare, it's all the Meals on Wheels.
Right.
And those are the bulk of this.
About 75%, I think, is Meals on Wheels.
24,000 alone for the Meals on Wheels, and close to 9,000 for the seniors, so that's a lot. So, yeah, I agree, I think we do need to start to talk about that.
Again, jealous of all the trips they do. Fabulous.
Yes, it's always fun. It's always fun, and don't forget the senior fair coming up. Okay, anything else on seniors? Okay, commission reports, standing fields. Anything more, John?
Well, did all of you get your Guilford Courier in the mail on Thursday? Okay, that's probably,
I think I did.
I think that's the most accurate summary that I could provide right now as to what's happening with the field up at the Guilford High School. Essentially what it is right now is that you have approximately 6 or 7 parties that each have a stake as to what's happening into this, and finally it's come down to where mediation has now been offered to all of the parties.
Oh, nice.
And so, but the thing of it is, in order for mediation to be successful, all parties have to participate. And if all parties don't participate, then it's going to go into a legal action. So, it's, what's the word I'm looking for? It's distressing to see how far this has taken a life of its own in order to, for us to try to get a remedy, because we are the aggrieved party in this situation, but we don't have anything to show for it other than the fact that the field is still not playable. It will not be playable until at least the mediation part is offered. It looks like from one of the options is that the field be stripped down to the bare necessities and rebuilt once again, simply because there are just too many options as to where the failure could have occurred. Between the pad, between the infill, between the grass itself.
So is it that no one's really taking account accountability for?
Nobody wants to take
Nobody wants to
accountability.
take accountability.
I mean, you have people pointing at everybody, it's his fault, no, it's his fault, I did it because of his specifications. And we paid for our own in-house
Test of the.
test of it, and our tests were different than their tests. So, again, inconclusive results means inconclusive behavior right now.
Do we know, John, exactly what caused this? Part of the problem is that nobody knows what caused this?
The suspect is the fact that the water did not drain properly through the filtration of the field and through the pad itself. It is only, unlike the football field where it has a crown and drain on all sides. Well, actually, it's on the long sides. In this situation, there was only a one-way crown down. And so evidently when we had a cold snap back in the end of December, beginning of January, water got backed up, and just water being nature that it is, freeze and thaw, just cracked and split the field apart like it was just like a highway. You know, it damaged it severely. But there are considerations as to the amount of drainage that was supposed to go through the infield, the amount of drainage that's supposed to go through the shock pad, and it's a very complicated process.
Are there any other schools that?
There are two other schools.
That have had issues?
There are 3 other schools that were identified as having something similar, but their problems was not as large as ours. And that would be Holyoke High School, which I visited, and their problem was completely different. Their problem was the pad shrank and just pulled away from the anchors towards the middle, and so they had to stretch it back out and re-anchor it. Okay, that was their problem. Bristol had 2 high schools, and I have not had a chance to visit theirs, but their remedy did not seem to be as dramatic as ours. So, as far as I know, they're playing on their fields up there, but I could someday check out in that neighborhood.
We did have our consultant was out there 2 months ago at the field with the contractor, and they did pull back some of the carpet. In areas that weren't obvious, where you could see separation there, I mean, the ones that were obvious are very obvious. It's like a 5-inch separation. But once they pulled the carpet back, there are other areas where there's a 1-inch separation. You couldn't see it with the carpet down, but, I mean, several areas. So the thought was that this may be happening all over the field.
Yeah.
So it's, it's a challenge.
Ongoing problem.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing problem.
Yeah.
John, there's a field walk on September 29th, Saturday the 29th, with the field committee. Anybody's welcome to be there. We're going to meet at 7 o'clock at the high school. We usually start at the old synthetic turf field, and we walk that, and then we go from there. But that'll be at 7 o'clock on Saturday the 29th.
7 o'clock in the morning, that is correct.
AM, yeah.
AM, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's a sunrise service.
Otherwise, it'd be past sunset, maybe. Yeah.
But generally, we do 2 walks. We start with the high school, and then we try to radiate out. But the high school is the biggest one because there are so many fields there that have to be examined.
So with that out of commission, it means there's more wear and tear on the grass fields and the number of teams using it, et cetera.
Yeah.
All that's being under consideration. And one of the comments that we made to the turf company that provided the turf was that the warranty should start all over again, whatever they do. And there was a lot of pushback on that. I mean, you can see the body language is kind of like he didn't like that suggestion. And I had said, well, it's going to be a full year that we can't use it. And the breakdown on the fibers is a little bit from the ultraviolet rays and all that, but it's also from use. And if we can't use it for a year, then you should start back at the beginning of giving us a warranty on this. I think our attorney's going to really push for that. He's going to insist on it.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Greens Committee.
There's no meeting this month, but there is a meeting next Monday. to discuss a cover. There's a well on the green. There was a concrete pad that was cracked. We didn't know what that was, and there was a big crack in it. Our guys always had to mow around it. And so Public Works helped us. We lifted it up and found out it was a well, an old well. And I got a hold of Joel Helander. He met with us out there. It was back from 1850-something. Joel knew. And it still had water in it. It was 12 feet deep, 4 feet of water.
Wow.
And we didn't taste it or anything, but he said it's a very historic well because there was a fire in 1800s at what is now the Green Gallery. And he said if you go upstairs, like in the attic or whatever, you can still see charred, and that's where they took the water out of that well. Probably bucket brigade back then. I don't know what they did, but to help put the fire out. And he said when he does walking tours of the history of Guilford, he always stops at that concrete pad and mentions that. So what we're suggesting to the Green Committee, and we met with Jerry Silbert, the chair of the Green Committee, that there's an old millstone in front of Flutterby maybe, or one of those stores there. It's kind of almost like a bench sort of or whatever. And I mean, somebody determined that it's the town's millstone. I don't know. Anyway, somebody said it is. So the plan is to take that, make that be the cover.
Of the well.
So that has some history with it too, the millstone.
Absolutely, that'd be lovely.
And then Joel might get some kind of little plaque and put the plaque on the millstone saying this is a historic marker from, whatever. And so that's, the Green Committee is going to meet to discuss that on Monday. And, they got to approve it because it's on the green. And maybe they'll talk about a bench.
Where's this platform again?
So right now, there's an orange construction fence around it. It's kind of across from the Green Gallery.
Oh, okay.
So you can't miss the fence because we put it there because it's a bit of a trip hazard, Well, Public Works, they did take the concrete pad off because it was a big crack in it. And there's just a big metal, thick, heavy metal cover over it right now. And so that's there until a decision is made about how to permanently cover it, which that millstone sounds like a pretty good idea. Yeah.
Joel would know about that millstone.
Yeah, he probably would, yeah.
'Cause I know when they resurfaced Whitfield Street, the town wanted to remove it, and we wouldn't let them. Made them leave the millstone.
Good man. Okay, land acquisition, anything to report?
Nothing to report. We have a meeting in October.
Okay, technology.
Mark's not here,
Mark's
but
not here.
Laptops were purchased, website is up. Yeah, that's all I know.
Okay, well, that's more than I know. So, the 25th anniversary, I did meet briefly with Ellen, and we thought we would do a Friday night reception. I think we have a date in November, although off the top of my head, I can't remember when it is in November, but just to let you know. Yeah, usually the first Friday in November. And we thought it would just. Second Friday.
Second Friday is the ninth.
That works for me too. But it's around then. I'll pin it down for you. So she has, everybody downstairs she has all the staff doing something.
Yeah, I was talking with her, and she
yeah.
said, well, you can help with Terry or
They're all
talk to
pretty
Terry
much
and figure out
got a
what
little
you
job
need
to do. They're going to invite all the former commissioners, staff. It's going to be low-key, but we'll have, pictures and things and invite the public, have them walk through the building, because by then, hopefully the building will look really nice. We were on our way till the roof leaked, but, we'll get there. So anyway, that's our plan so far. So we'll keep you informed.
Rose, I had a staff meeting last Thursday. We looked at the assignments that each staff person's going to have to
I forget
help.
which everybody have. I know everybody
Yeah.
has an assignment that they're working on. So, changing some old video stuff into new videos. So everybody's working on something. So it's going to be good. Okay, our improvements. Todd did all my work for me. It's right here. All the improvements are here. If you notice, if you start to walk around, you'll notice all the pretty blue moldings on a lot of the rooms. And the beautiful blue carpet. Except in the downstairs hallway with the roof leak.
Did the new roof leak? The new roof leak?
Did you see the downstairs?
Well, it's not done yet.
It's not done yet, but the rain, we have a leak, the carpet's been pulled up down there and everything.
the new carpet.
Yeah.
I don't usually park over there when I come to meetings, but I did today. I was like, oh.
We have a mess.
Yes.
So,
Was that
you
a
know,
couple weeks ago we got that?
it will
Heavy
all,
rain?
it's all gonna be good.
How about today?
It leaked Saturday. Friday night rain to Saturday, so Todd was here Saturday, I was here Saturday. It leaked Sunday, we were here Sunday, and it leaked again last night into today. This was the worst, and ceiling tiles were falling out of the ceiling. We had a powwow meeting with the foreman for the roof job. We had the carpet representative here today, the installer, also the carpet manufacturer representative was here. And Matt Hoey came, and Steve Neidorf, facilities manager, and Todd and I, we had a big meeting downstairs. And so when you came in, you probably saw the guy, he's the roof guy. He's working on getting the carpet dried up. He's got fans blowing up into the, took the ceiling tiles down to dry up the wood underneath the roof there. So, we told them, with all this rain, you gotta button this up, because every day, we can't keep coming in and finding more ceiling tiles laying on the floor. They got caught with, some heavy rain. They thought it was buttoned up enough, but it wasn't, so, we're working on it. Well, it'll be done.
And what's not on here, some of the windows have been replaced?
There are 25, if you look at the bottom, Johnson Controls,
Johnson Controls. Okay.
there are 25 windows that are going to be replaced.
So we haven't done any yet.
Yeah, they did several,
I thought
yeah.
I saw
Yeah.
some new windows there, yeah.
Yeah, they did the Sachem room, Leet room. They're working on Ellen's today and Terry's. They did the Guilford room, the west side, looking out into the parking lot,
Yep.
up above, the ones way up high and the lower ones. So there are 25. This is part of an energy efficiency program that's coming out of not our budget, but it's coming out of a town budget somewhere, and they're replacing all these windows. A lot of light bulbs have been replaced with more efficient light
Well, I
bulbs.
know we have more than 25 windows.
We do,
So what happens to the
Well,
other ones?
they're gonna-
Is it gonna be phased?
right,
Okay.
right.
I'm glad to see the fences being replaced.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah,
Around the
right.
preschool.
And that'll be done this week.
No, I thought the building was looking really, really good.
Oh, the painting too, they painted, the painters did a great job, they pressure washed the entire building.
Yeah.
Did a really nice job cleaning it
All
up.
part of,
They started painting last week, they actually were painting a little bit today under the overhang, damp, but they were doing it. So I don't know how much they're gonna get done this week with the rain, but they're doing a good job getting that done.
well, it's coming together.
Oh, Todd and one of the guys from Facilities Department replaced a lot of the clapboard siding, which is,
Oh,
what's on there is called FIPON, I think it's called. They're replacing something similar. It's not wood, it's a different kind of product. But there were several that were either warped or bowing or bubbling, and so Todd and Steve from Facilities replaced quite a few of those. We had to do that before we painted. So that's another thing Todd's working on.
good. All right, splash pad. How are we doing?
We are fabulous.
All right.
Mandy, Veronica, and I, the subcommittee, met right after our last month's meeting and kind of got a game plan together. Then we met on the 24th at Jacobs Beach with Rick, Will Thompson, who did the Jacobs Beach remodel, Veronica, Mandy, myself. Peter Wallace was there from the company that we're looking at to purchase the splash pad, and Max or Connor. Max. I get them confused, sorry. So it was a good conversation discussing what would work there, how it would work there, where it would go, size, issues we could run into. Will Thompson asked if we could give him some time to talk to the civil engineer and the environmentalist that both worked with him at Jacobs, since they're familiar with the land around there. So he went ahead and did that, and they got in touch with Rick to say that there was two ways that we could go. We could go with a holding tank, or we could do the recycled water, and their suggestion was to go with the holding tank, and if we did that, we would recycle that water as irrigation that's down there. So there are still things to look at, though, for that system, because the way the water pressure is and where the water comes in, needing certain pumps in different locations. We also have to find out, because Jacobs did change after Hurricane Sandy.
That was the last one, yeah.
The flood zone changed down there and FEMA changed the mapping. So we have to look at certain levels of where we can place things. So lots of work to be done, but it was suggested, and I'm in agreement with this, but the commission needs to talk, to bring Will Thompson in on this project, since he's very much aware of down there and has people that he's already worked with down there. So I'm suggesting that we hire Will Thompson to continue researching the use of Jacob's Beach. We did discuss if Jacob's Beach was not an option, Bittner Park, and there would be issues there too of, but they're workable issues. Jacobs, we have water.
Enough water.
We have water. But Bittner Park, we have a well. And one of the suggestions was that we could fill it with pool water, have pool water delivered, so that would hold enough water and still have our well and use that. But we would also have to look at location at Bittner, because where the old playground used to be is behind the softball field, and baseballs are hit over that. And they did raise the fence, but we would have to raise it more, in my opinion, for safety reasons.
Where are they thinking at Jacobs? Like, what have you talked about location-wise? Where?
There was a couple locations. One was right next to the pavilion, the first pavilion. So like you'd walk in and it would be in that area. Then we also talked about, because it looks like the playground is going to need some revamping, that to put it where the swings are.
Baby swings.
And, the baby swings, and move those so that it would be like kind of off the beach, off the playground, off the parking lot, like you can get at it from all locations. So once we figure out the water in the ground, where we can put the holding tank and all of that.
Question
Do you
for,
have, oh yeah.
what are going to be the hours of operation of this? Daytime, nighttime?
It would be the same hours of the beach.
So if you had it up at Bittner Park, what time would it be?
Seeing that was one of our concerns, having it at Bittner, there was really no control over it. And I mean, you can shut it off and it say, we only are going to have it run from 10 to 2, whatever. But Jacobs is really the ideal place, because it is.
Charge people to come in there.
Right, it's going to be revenue building for us. It's a reason for people to go there, buy passes or pay for the day. There was also discussion that it could also bring in more revenue, that, if the beach is closed, lifeguards are done at 5, technically Jacobs Beach is closed for swimming, but we could rent out that and we can turn it on for a certain hour to have a party, if a family.
Birthday parties.
So, I mean, we would have control of turning on and off when we want to use it, but our initial thought was to have it beach hours. But we could always look at that.
How would you turn it on and off?
There are settings on the
setting
controls,
timer.
yep. And then they don't run the whole time anyways. So, I mean, it shuts off. So it only the whole cycle will run for like 3 or 4 minutes, and then it shuts off. And then someone has to go and touch a panel, like a ball or something, and it turns back on. So it's not a continuous, no, unless someone is just standing there like we do in Old Saybrook, we just stand there and hold our hands on it. So it just keeps going. But
I don't think you would have an issue with softballs up at Bittner, because they don't play during the daytime. It's
true.
It's strict. If there is a men's league there, it would be after 6 o'clock at night.
Right, but we also haven't had softball in Guilford for a while, and now we have 8 teams playing, so it's coming back. So it's just something that we need to consider, and then there's always
To me,
something
Jacobs
popping up.
makes more sense.
Absolutely, and that's what
I was
our
sitting
opinions
here
are.
Thinking the same thing.
It makes more sense. If we bring Will Thompson on, would that be part of the money we have to raise?
That's a decision the commission have to make, unless we got to get a proposal from him anyways, but I think it makes some sense, because he's, been so involved with everything down there. I mean, I have no idea what we're talking about cost, but,
How we pay him.
and just if I can decide, one of the things, just to follow up on Claire, I did have a conversation with him. He did talk to those two, the environmental guys, the engineers, and they said it's a possibility, because one of the things that Will was mentioning, remember he talked about if we did the pump, the filtration system, they would have to be 9 feet up in the air because of the flood zone and all that kind of stuff. And if we're not doing that and it's just recycling, then there's a better chance that, we wouldn't have as much of an issue with DEP. So it'd be a tank in the ground, but he also knows that ground is very, very dense clay. I mean, like potter's clay is very, very dense. So, all that has to be taken into account, for drainage and whatever else. So, but it's not an impossibility.
Okay. All right. So that's nothing we have to decide on tonight.
No.
There's still more information that needs to come.
I think maybe just decide if we want to go forward with Will, because then I think we probably have to go to Board of Selectmen for approval. Right.
Again, my question is who pays for Will?
Right. I think that needs further discussion, honestly.
We got somebody in the audience that wants to
I was
speak?
wondering if town staff might be able to just solve the CAM issue, and then Will would know where he's putting it.
Yeah, maybe, Kevin McGee,
What is the CAM issue?
coastal area management,
Well, do we want to,
I mean, I don't have any problem, because Will's really designed the whole thing down there.
Right.
And he's really familiar with it. I don't see any problem. Again, though, I think we need to, maybe could go to your committee and find out who's going to, how they see this being paid for. If they see it as
Yeah,
part of the
I think it should be further
fundraising,
discussion.
or are we gonna try and find a place for it in our budget?
do we know what will,
And approximately, let's get an approximate
Yeah.
cost too. I mean, we don't wanna just blindly
Right.
go into this, so.
okay. So our next step is to get a proposal from Will on
I'll
how
work
he
on
would
that
help
for you,
us, and then bring that back to you guys. And then maybe we can shoot that out to the committee before our meeting and have just a conversation so that I can get back to the subcommittee if it's something that they're
When
gonna
are we
need to
trying
fundraise.
When are we trying to put this in? Like, what date are we trying
Well,
to?
It would be great if we could fundraise now and then have it in by
Start working on
spring,
the spring.
so that it's ready for
Right.
June, May, the latest, I think.
And who's gonna do the fundraising?
There, Mandy has an amazing amount of families.
Group of parents, that are basically just waiting and
Okay.
eager to fundraise. We can't raise funds until we.
Absolutely.
know what
Right,
it's
I
for,
get it.
Then what do you do? If you-
Right, you wanna know what we're doing, you wanna have a dollar amount so we know where we're
Right.
heading. I
And
agree.
believe, Veronica was looking into, other ways, like if people can donate services, or if they can donate, their time and help us build.
Yes.
Too, so I think all that comes under fundraising.
As we've
for
done
me.
the playgrounds
And
and things,
so,
absolutely.
We have people ready and excited, it's just a matter of.
That's awesome.
Can we go on this or not?
Yep. Okay, good. All right, so just get back. All right. Okay, unfinished business. Jacob's Beach Platform Side Irrigation.
Well, it's
What's-
done.
Yeah, I thought it was done.
But when Will and I met with a tent company down there, and they were supposed to come put a tent up,
Right.
it just never happened.
Never
At this
happened.
point, it doesn't make sense to do it, I don't think now, but we were hoping to get it up for even the month of September, just so people see it. But there are six picnic tables on it, so I was down there, I don't know, one day over the weekend, I forgot when, but people were using the picnic tables, sitting on that platform, so they are using it.
Okay.
But, so we are going to be sodding, that, I think we're going to probably contract that out to a company. I just don't see our guys having time to do it, but the idea is to sod at certain areas between the shower, there's that sort of rectangular area between the shower and the platform, that'll be grass. And there's another little area to be grass, and then the irrigation would have to be moved over a little bit to, I don't think we need more heads, I don't think. If any, maybe one more head, but I think if they're moved, they'd be able to hit all the sodded areas. So the fall's the time to do that. So that would finish that project off.
Okay. All right, great. The disc golf course, Inlands Wetlands had their walk this
I walked
weekend.
with the Wetlands Commission on Saturday morning, and I handed out to you, well, let me step back. Todd and I went out last week, and we went to every fairway that is adjacent to wetlands. And on the wetland side of the fairway, we went to the wetlands flagging, and we measured out the distance from the flag to a certain area to demarcate where the fairway might go. And we have to be 25 feet away from any wetlands. So if you look at this, like hole number 3, from the numbers like 254, 259, 255, those are wetland flag numbers. And so we measured, so the closest we are to any wetlands there is 36 feet, and we're 40 feet in some others. And I won't go through the whole list, there are actually 54 areas that we measured. But I want to tell you that the Wetlands Commission was very satisfied with this.
Okay.
I walked most of the area with them. Some of them were very, very dense undergrowth. Like if you look at number 17 on the back page there, we took 12 measurements there. It's very, very thick undergrowth. I mean, you're walking through, spider webs and brush and prickers, and so they didn't need to go there because they saw what we had done, and they saw that we're 70 feet away in some cases, 33 feet. So they were pretty pleased with this layout that we did. And I have to tell you, this was Todd's idea to put in this format, and it really it was very effective. So the Wetlands Commission meeting is Wednesday night, where we hope they'll officially approve it this Wednesday at 7, and then Planning and Zoning is next Wednesday. I think also at 7. The only other thing I'll just mention is, I think, did I send out the DEP Natural Diversity Database thing about the turtles? So one of the things they're recommendations. They're not mandates, they're recommendations, but they're pretty strong recommendations, and there were like 12 of them, or 15. And so one of them was that we have a herpetologist, and so I walked it with 2 different herpetologists. I met for an hour. Herpetologist is like a turtle studier. Turtles, snakes, lizards, reptiles. So I walked in with a guy who's a pretty well-known guy in the state, and he made a few recommendations. And then Joel Helander is an amateur herpetologist. He's been studying box turtles for 50 years.
He was like 10.
Yeah. And so he walked some with me, and he quite frankly, thought that some of the recommendations from DEP were, we probably don't need to abide by a lot of them, because he doesn't see an issue. All right? Extreme, yeah, I was trying to, be careful, but, I mean, we'll look,
I don't want people to think that
we'll
we're
do
not going to
everything we
abide by them.
can to abide
Yeah.
by everything that
Yes.
makes sense.
Yes.
But he said there's no hibernation that would be taking place anywhere near where we're doing this. They hibernate near streams, and we're 50 feet away from wetlands. We're not doing anything near the wetlands. They lay their eggs in those areas, he said. So those are some of the things that DEP was concerned about. But I don't think anybody from DEP actually has been there. I don't think they've been there. But it looked like it was more of a form letter, and they talked about, no heavy equipment. I mean, our heaviest equipment is a chainsaw. We're not going with bulldozers and loaders and things. And so I think it was a little overkill, some of the things that they recommended. And I think Joel has the same opinion, and I think the other guy that I met with, his name is Chuck Anicelli. He's pretty well known in that profession. And I haven't gotten a letter from him yet, but we had some conversation, and there's some things we can do to try to accommodate the needs, or the questions, suggestions they have. So I think we're good. We're okay.
All right.
What is a wetlands number? What is that referred to now? On this sheet here, it says wetlands number.
So all the wetlands had to be flagged, so they're little pink flags, and each flag has a number on it.
Okay.
So if flag number 254, we went and found where that was, we measured with a tape measure.
Okay.
We also had a laser measurer, so sometimes if there were no trees in the way, I was the target, and Todd was putting a laser on me and said, okay, that's 65 feet, okay, that's good. I put blue ribbons on all the trees, not all trees, on trees to mark the boundary of the fairways, and said, we won't go any closer to the wetlands than this,
So that flag
and maybe farther away.
That flag designated, you can't go beyond that flag.
The blue.
Yeah.
The pink ribbons say this is where the wetlands are. We measured out farther than our requirement. We went farther away than what they require. And so when we actually construct the fairways, we'll be way out of the way of the wetlands. We won't go anywhere near, within the 25
Wetland
feet.
numbers are pink.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a little challenge finding some of them, because some of them were very deep in the woods. But we spent 2 hours out there
But the
one day.
good news, positive news is it's moving forward. Wetlands seem to be good. There's a meeting Wednesday.
Wednesday night.
And
those
then,
meetings are here too?
Yes,
and then planning and zoning.
the following Wednesday. And we get the approvals from both of those, I believe that's it, we can go forward.
at these meetings?
I think it'd be helpful if anybody can come. I'm trying to see if Craig or Jason Michael can come, just in case there are any questions about the design,
Right.
you know, the layout and so on.
I
And
can't make wetlands, but I think I can make the planning.
Aren't wetlands the first and the third Wednesday in the month?
they're this Wednesday.
What day is the planning and zoning?
Yeah, this 2 days.
You said in the.
Planning and zoning is next. Inland wetlands is this Wednesday, in 2 days. Planning and zoning is next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday.
Right. And we're on the agenda for both those.
Okay, well, if we can get there, please do.
Yeah.
Let's leave it that way. All right.
And again, I think the turtle issue is going to be fine. I think we've got 2 people who we're
Right.
working with that are going to help us work within
Work within
the suggestions that are there.
Great. Good. All right, anything, well, we know what's happening to the roof. So anything more, Rick? I think we've talked about our roof.
On the roof now, I mean, it's,
Yeah,
we're working
okay.
on it.
It is what it is.
Just a quick question on that, though. Like, I know that they had said 90 days, and the deadline is, of that 90 days is technically tomorrow. What does that mean?
Doesn't really
If
mean
they go
anything.
over that, what it?
There's no liquidated
Weather.
damages.
Okay.
And I mean, they've been dealing with some pretty rough weather throughout the whole thing. I mean, there were days they're up there, it was 145 degrees on the roof. Yeah.
No, it's-
They've been responsive, you know, I think they're trying to do a good job.
Yeah.
Synthetic turf.
Synthetic turf we've discussed.
Yeah.
Field use policy and fees, John, I think you pretty much said it's still ongoing.
In progress.
Nothing to,
And what you guys are crafting is really just a draft for us.
right.
To approve, correct?
Yes,
Do you have, do you have more than one plan? Like, if you bring the first plan and we're like, no? And
Yes.
so it doesn't take like 3 more months, that like you have a backup plan to say, okay, well.
We had a meeting 2 weeks ago, but unfortunately, only one other member was able to come to that meeting. And so we didn't really meet, but I made an alternate proposal to the original proposal, which was a lot less than what was originally proposed. So what I did is I in the field committee, saw the original proposal, and what I did is I showed the impact on current groups and what they're paying currently, what the new cost would be, and it was sizable increase for everybody, everything from Soccer Fest to Rush to men's soccer, women's soccer. I mean, every group that currently is paying any kind of fee at all, I showed, here's what they're paying right now, or the spring, here's what it would be with the new proposal, based on the same exact hours. And it was substantial. So
We need to look at that.
I made a sort of an alternate proposal to that I want to, bring up to the next committee meeting, and, then it's got to come here. And then, Rose, I think your recommendation was that that we then meet with the presidents of all the sports, which we did when Ken Moley chaired this group when we first did it. John, you were on that committee, and Suzanne was, I think.
Okay.
Your suggestion was that, whatever draft the commission approves, meet with all the presidents of the sports who are, impacted by it. Here's what our current proposal is, are we okay with this, or, what do we need to tweak a little bit?
I think I'm a little confused, though. I know it says policy and fees, but I thought the reason for bringing this back together and redoing this was more policy, to make sure that there was a way to enforce what the policy and fee was who, make it clearer, the lines clear. I didn't realize that it was really to bump fees up.
The genesis behind this came from one of the gentlemen in our audience who felt that our fees were substantially inadequate as compared to.
I remember that, but I thought we also said that in that same meeting that we are not here to
True.
make money on our fields.
And there is some, what's the word I'm looking for? Discussion. I would say spirited discussion as to whether or not that, how we should structure our fees. I am under the opinion my opinion is as such, is that we should not be using our fee structure as a means of, generating revenue. I agree that we should cover our costs, I don't have a problem with that. But at the same time, we should not be using it as a weapon against any of our.
Exactly, and that's why I'm bringing it up, because I don't agree
Yes, I think,
that for our, I mean, when we, my point when we brought this together was, I really thought it was more making the policy clear, because when I read the policy, the current policy, I was like, huh, what? Who's who, and how do you determine who's who? So that was my understanding, that we were doing this to really clarify who falls under who,
Right.
and how we charge them, not necessarily we need to charge them more.
Well, again, the information that was presented to us by the folks in the gallery was the fact that a fair market value, which was being established out there by not only professional organizations such as the Sportsplex or Oakwood, but other towns had fee structures that were charging more than we were. So the sentiment was that we should be in step with these other towns. Now, I'm not necessarily in favor of that as well, but one thing I will tell you is that what we have started right now is now rippling down the shoreline, because people I know on Parks and Recs in Clinton and Killingworth and Westbrook, they're also re-examining their policies as well.
That's interesting.
It is interesting, because we are not in a vacuum with regard to this, because the reason is that the discussion with regard to policies, which Rick discussed as to how expensive the changes would be, has caused some of the groups that would be directly affected by this to start investigating, where else can I go play my games?
Right.
And so consequently, now these towns are saying to myself, well, geez, if I'm not trying to be sarcastic here, but if Guilford doesn't want them, we'll take them, okay, and this will be our fee structure.
But then they're gonna end up with the wear and tear and overuse of the fields.
I don't think you're gonna find it. Their towns are less populated than ours, and they have just as many fields as we do, so consequently, their so-called wear and tear is acceptable to them. I think we are we are not going to find a sweet spot where everybody's going to be happy with this, okay? I still believe that what we do with sports in this town is just as effective as Brian McGlone does with his Economic Development Committee, because we bring people into town who spend money because they are coming from Fairfield County, they're coming from New York, they're coming from upstate, they're coming from Rhode Island to play sports in our town and to take advantage of the town services that are here, whether it be buying gasoline at the station here or going up to walking down to the green and just doing some shopping. That's what we're trying to encourage people to do, is to come to our town, not to put up a sign that says everybody except sports, okay? And so, granted, yes, but we, as a Park and Rec Commission, accept the fact that there is going to be specific amount of wear and tear on the amount. We are trying to avoid excessive amounts of wear and tear on what we're doing. So, there's going to, as I say, there's not going to be a sweet spot where everybody's going to be fully content as to how we're going to manage this.
All right,
Well, I look forward to your policy and fees coming.
Well, it's, as I say, we
And
are
I
still,
will make my
but the
points then
ultimate
again.
decision falls with the Park and Rec.
we
Yes.
will bring
Yes.
to you
Okay.
a suggestions, and it is the purvey of this commission to
Ultimately, our
decide
decision.
whether or not you want to accept them or not.
Right. Or
And
we
that has
can
been made
alter them,
perfectly
change them.
clear
Yes.
to all the members of the subcommittee, that whatever they establish is going to be reviewed and accepted or rejected by this commission.
Can I ask that we have that before our meeting next
Whenever,
month. If you guys are complete with it, that we have it before our meeting, so we have time to clearly review it, so it's not like a 45-minute conversation here.
Well, the hard part is that everybody who's a part of this subcommittee is a very active individual. And trying to find commonality for an open date has been very.
No, okay, so if it's not.
been very unsuccessful.
I'm just meaning that whenever it is complete,
Yes.
that we have it prior to our meeting so that we can review it, so that when we come to our meeting, that we have our questions, that we've torn it apart, or
Love
in
it,
our
love
head,
it.
put a stamp of approval on it, so it's not a 45-minute conversation at this table.
Right.
Well,
So whenever it's complete and you guys are gonna present it to us, just make sure that we have it prior,
To the meeting.
even prior to our packets, because, I mean, I get this on Thursday or Friday, and I'm very busy.
I got mine today.
So,
So
Yeah,
we
the
do
mail is
having
not very
time
good.
to
We
look
need to
at
have
it.
a little ahead of time.
So that's my only thing, it's just making sure we get it
Yeah.
ahead of time before whatever month you guys present it.
well, we shall see what we can do about getting everybody together again during the month
Well,
of September.
again, John, it doesn't have to be next month, but whenever it's done. Just so
No,
long
we're
as.
not trying to stall on this. It's
No,
just
I
that
don't think
it's
you
been
are.
very.
I don't think that's anybody's implying that at all.
I just,
It's just, again, some of the things get handed out as we come in here. We don't want that to be one of the things that gets handed out when we come in here, because we really
No,
don't
no,
have
no,
time
you
to
need
really
to,
read.
everybody needs to preview what.
Exactly, that's all we're
What needs to
asking.
be a part of
Yes.
what's the
I
discussion's
think
going
that's
to
all
be.
we're asking.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now, are these fees in line with what they're doing along the shoreline?
I cannot give you an answer on that one because I haven't gotten all the information back from the other towns. But I can tell you what the fee structure is with regard to professional organizations. That is $100 an hour, minimum. Okay?
And it's not Guilford, it's maybe one or two Guilford
Sportsplex,
people.
Oakwood, CFC, that's what they charge, minimum, is $100 an hour for, just to walk onto the field. Okay, now granted, these people have to pay taxes on their property. They have, most of their properties are all the, what's the word I'm looking for, artificial turf. Okay, so they're not paying somebody to cut the lawn, but they are paying for the maintenance of they do have staff that they have to pay as well.
Those are for-profit organizations, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Sal Candeloro, who owns the Sportsplex, is very, makes sure it's that is a profitable organization.
Okay, let's move on. Carpet replacement, we've talked about that. The carpets have been replaced in a few of the rooms. A couple of them,
looks nice.
Rick, do need some serious cleaning, so
Yeah, I think, yeah.
for the ones we haven't
General
replaced, let's get a good cleaning for them, and then we should be ready to go. HVAC upgrades, I think that was part of
Part of Todd's.
Todd's
yeah.
report, yes. Last month, we had a request for a tree and a bench from Janice Bishop. The tree to be planted at the community center along with the bench. The tree as a memorial to Charles Howe, and the bench as a memorial to her mother. I did see Janice, I did tell her we tabled this because we're just not ready to do this. And she said she did, she understood, and that she had talked with Todd, I guess, and you, and she realizes that if we approve this, it's not going to be done until spring. Well, until the grounds are, till the building is done and perhaps the property next
Next
door.
door.
So we really know what we're looking at
Placement,
before we
yeah.
just throw a tree and a bench up.
Right.
So I guess, the question is, I'd like to go back to her and tell her that, yes, we have approved it, or no, we haven't.
If I can suggest it, we could use some trees.
Yeah.
We have, and I met with Bartlett Tree
Okay.
Company a week or two ago, and all the pear trees, they're going.
Yeah.
They're brittle, branches keep snapping off, and they even, Rich Sala from Bartlett said, you should really just take these down and do something else. We lost one on the north side, where we put the new sod down there. There's a whole tree that came down, it was just falling apart.
Yeah.
So we can certainly use a tree, and whatever we get, we would talk to John Cunningham, get his input, just like he did at Jacobs Beach. Excuse me, what might be the best option here?
I was going to say, are we planting the wrong trees? Is that why they're dying?
Well, we didn't plant them as part of the building, it was built 26 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. when it rounds. So, I think if you approve a tree, we can at least, fall's a good time to plant trees. And maybe if we want to hold off on the bench for now.
If there's a spot here that the tree needs to go, and I don't have a problem with it, I just didn't want to.
Does she want the bench under the tree? Should probably verify
I
whether
mean,
she's
I
looking
don't,
for.
quite frankly, I'm not sure where a bench could go. We have one, it was for June Ford, out back at the Leeds Island
Oh,
Garden
wow.
Club did many years ago. I don't know where else we put one, unless it's in the courtyard maybe, but.
We need a bench.
And I think it's the same discussion
Actually,
we had
I would
with-
say, no, I would say, yes, we could use another bench. Only because on nice days, sometimes, I mean, we have people who are here all day long.
But then again, if we
So on
start
a
with
nice
now
day.
10 more people come and say they
Well,
want a bench.
no, but
That's
I've
why I
only
think there
been here,
needs to be a, like, I
um,
felt bad with Bob Borden, because I understand where he's coming from, wanting
Right.
the bench from Arlene.
Right.
But I think then there needs to be some more discussion of how many benches in each park we would like, and, so
Well,
no
the
one
way
gets
we-
hurt feelings that,
Right.
I've only been
that's
here a short time, and we have talked about
a lot of benches.
But
Yes.
nothing at the community center.
Well, that's true, but I mean, it is
And
something
that's
that
the only
people
reason-
continue
because
to
people
request,
do
so,
come here, and-
yeah.
and there
What
really
if-
isn't any
What I'm saying
place
is, what if now some 10 more
to sit
people
outside.
say, in 6 months, well, we'd like a bench too?
Well,
Where do you have to,
perhaps we need to go back and relook at our policy and relook at our properties
Yeah.
and get a subcommittee, walk the properties and say, okay,
Yes.
we can use 2 benches
many,
here, we
right.
could use, and then when we have filled up our quota,
Right.
we're sorry we filled up
I
our
just
quota.
personally feel
Yeah,
bad
just
for,
have it
you
laid
always
out
want
so
to try to
it's
Yeah.
help someone with a,
Yeah.
I just feel bad with, when you say that.
Mhm.
But there is still the policy that
That's-
says,
yeah.
somebody had to have a contribution in
Right.
some way to Parks and Recreation in the community. So, I mean, that's our current policy, unless we change that, we've got to keep that in mind too.
Right.
But I think a tree makes a lot of sense, we
Mhm.
really need some trees here anyway. So I would just suggest you might want to approve a tree, ASAP, and I can talk to John
And then we can talk
Cunningham.
about the bench, and, yeah, all right, let's do that. How about if I get a motion to okay the tree?
I make a motion that we okay the tree for Janice Bishop, put up in memory of, it was her mom and.
No, the tree she said was for childhood, but let's talk to her about that part.
Okay.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay. So in terms of the benches, can I get a couple of people who might serve on a subcommittee to go look at this policy and walk our parks and see where we may want to put more benches and how many more benches we might be able to do, and then we can just make it part of our policy?
Well, do we have to walk the parks, or do we have a list of how many benches are in what park?
I don't believe we do.
I don't think we have an inventory.
I mean, you pretty much know what's at Chaffinch.
There are 4 there.
There's one at Daniel Avenue Beach. Bittner, I believe there's 1 at the playground. In Jacobs, we have 3. I think we just approved another one for Al Jacobs, for Olivia Jacobs. So it'd be 4, and then the ones around the playground at Jacobs. Eventually, if we have the splash pad, could be that could be another place for benches. The benches down there were, that was part of the project. We knew we wanted benches, and so people gave contributions for the benches. Sometimes I think almost always, they were for somebody. The little nameplate went on it, a little 2-inch by 1-inch nameplate, I think. Most of them were for somebody. The Interact Club from the Guilford Foundation donated one, and it was, they did it. But, yeah, I mean, of course, in the green, separate, that's the green committee, a bunch of benches in the green. But, yeah, I mean, Bittner is 1 by the playground, probably could use a couple there,
Are you counting at Jacobs, are we just counting benches, or, because I know Jacobs has the Adirondack
Plus the
chairs.
chairs,
Is that separate, or would we count those in as well?
I wasn't counting those, but those are removable. We take them out,
Right.
at the end of the season. But they are, whenever anyone's down there, basically, they're around the chairs, just not in the winter. We take them out for in the fall.
But I'm just asking for the subcommittee, would we count the Adirondack chairs as
A seat.
a memorial seat, like whatever we're calling
Yeah.
this? Because I think it needs a new
I don't
name.
know, it just seems like we have just, why benches? Do we need any more benches anywhere in town? You know, what I'm saying is like, why not, we have benches, we seem like we have enough benches in town. right? So if somebody wants to come, they want a bench in memory of so-and-so, can't we just go to where a bench is, like a bench that needs to be replaced
Or repaired,
Yeah,
or
and-
take an existing bench and say, okay, you want to make a donation of whatever, we'll put a plaque there, and it just seems like we just benches and benches, and we just,
To your point, that the green
good-
committee did approve one for Don Papa
Mm-hmm.
on the green. It was a bench that was there, if I remember right, it wasn't a new bench, but in the brick around it, there was a plaque put in there. Yeah.
I'm not, I don't spend 24 hours a day looking at benches, but the only time I see people sitting on benches are at the green. I don't know.
I see them out here.
Do you? Okay.
On a
okay.
nice day,
they
if you
do.
come
And like I
on
said,
the
I'm not
afternoon, on a
it
nice
just-
day,
yeah.
they're outside, and a lot of them are just sitting, in our little courtyard here, and there
So
aren't.
for repair though, in the future, that then falls on Park and Rec for cost to repair? Like, if they're concrete or if they're wooden or whatever they're made out of. I don't know if there's a policy about what they need to be made of, or, I don't know. But is that in our cost, say 20, 30 years from now, that we have to replace benches or they have to be fixed, or what then happens
You mean if it's a memorial?
if it's a memorial bench?
Valid question.
Well, the problem, right, that most of the memorial benches at this point are
Are
the
the stone
the
ones.
stone
Are the
ones,
stone
so they're
ones, yeah.
not gonna need a
Yeah.
lot of repair, so we
Right.
really
That's
don't
what I said, I
have
don't know
that
what the
big a problem
material
right
is,
now.
yeah.
Could we think of something else besides benches, or?
Well, I think that'll be part of this subcommittee.
Yeah.
Once they
Yeah.
go and do an inventory of every park, beach, whatever we have, in our jurisdiction, then we can really revamp this to say, no more stone benches, or we need, maybe it's picnic tables that we ask people to put up. So I will volunteer
Are
to
you,
be on this subcommittee as well.
I mean, I'd be willing to volunteer, but I'm a kind of diverse opinion. I'm agreeing with Lawrence over here that I think we benched ourselves out at Chaffinage Island.
Oh, I think we have too.
I think, and we're here at 2018, what happens in 2019, 20, and so on in the future? I know folks want to remember their family members. I know I would like to have something to remind myself by, but you know what? It ain't gonna happen with me. I mean, and I'm fine with that, but to have folks come to us and be expecting us to bring benches to public parks, I'm just not in favor of it. I think we've hit our max. I think we've hit. I can tell you exactly what happened with us at Little League. I mean, we had so many stone markers up there at Adams, it started to look like a graveyard.
Well, that was our concern about.
Yeah.
And so so when they went through a major renovation, unfortunately, some of the stone markers ended up being disappeared. Simply because of the fact that the kids were unhappy about walking around stone markers with people's names on them.
Yeah, it seems like the burden is being put on us
Okay.
to remember family members.
I do think
So,
if
all right,
we're
Claire and I'll walk around, we'll look at everything, we'll come back with some sort of suggestions.
Just about the tree thing, it does, if people have a memorial tree, I don't know, I don't think it's a big deal, and it's a nice thing to have a small marker there, and it's not obtrusive, it doesn't make it look like a memorial garden or anything like that, but it is recognizing why it's there. But, I mean, like, where I used to live, there was a.
Trees too.
No, I agree, it doesn't mean you can start putting trees everywhere, but I mean, in those that are there.
But then again, we have markers here. Instead of having benches everywhere, now we're gonna have markers
I know,
everywhere.
well, I'm just thinking of where, a place I used to live, there were trees, and you did not notice till you got
No,
to
you
the
didn't.
tree,
That's
that
right.
there was something,
Absolutely.
this big here, and it said something, I mean, it wasn't obtrusive at all,
Yeah,
it was
but
still a beautiful
And I don't
park.
mean to be cruel at all, but like, the only people know that marker there, the only people that know about it are like 5 family members. Like, do you I know that's crash, but it's like.
It does make them feel bad.
Ah.
There's a lot of sides to this, so we'll look and
Yeah.
we'll come up with some sort of policy.
When do the
Working on
Adirondack chairs go out so that I know to hit Jacobs before they're gone? I mean, I know you know.
When do we
but-
take them out?
Yeah.
I think November, probably.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I got
we've got time.
All right.
Yeah. So John, you say you won't be memorialized. I think at Binder Park, the building at Binder Park, we're going to call it Jagelski's John.
Well, I told my wife the tree made me and put me behind home plate over at Adams, but
Really great.
that'll really creep the kids out, I'll tell you that much.
Just to piss you off, I'm gonna put a big plaque, big bench, everything, right?
Right at home plate, that's right.
You'll be home plate, John.
That's right, I will be home plate. Or
Hang on your hat with a baseball hat.
Rose and Claire.
Okay, yes,
Oh, man.
Claire and I will do it.
Don't tell my husband.
So, yeah.
Don't tell your kids.
I would be willing to help, I just can't commit, like, I will be willing to help you where needed.
Okay.
I'm a
feel
little
the same
crazed
way.
with work
Alright.
right now, but.
Office trailer for
Okay.
park garage.
Office trailer for Park Garage. Okay, so,
We're gonna have a trailer?
Rick and I went with Matt Hoey down to see the Parks Garage. And as luck would have it, the date we made to go was one of those 100-degree days. And it was really tough, really tough. So Matt did see the need. So we did go back again, Rick and I and Matt, and this time the town engineer joined us and the
Tom Filling,
Public
Superintendent of
Works.
Public Works.
Superintendent of Public Works joined us. And we are looking into, well, we have to put a dry well to take care of the sink. And then beyond that, now we're looking into a trailer. Anthony's supposed to be looking into buying one that's used, renting. It will have a bathroom in it. It'll have to be pumped out every month, but that's okay. We're getting there. So I think everybody has now seen the need, because the day we went down with everybody, it was also one of those 90-degree days.
Huge need even.
So, I mean, just the idea of him not being able to have any air in that building, and his office has no windows, no air, nothing.
Well, they have nowhere to eat.
So, nowhere to eat, and I think we finally got the point across. I know I think they really saw the severity of it. And so now we're really on the road. I think we're gonna get it done
Thank you for that.
pretty soon.
So
So
you think
we're
we'll
working on it.
have it done before winter's?
Yes.
And whatever we're suggesting is gonna have heat and
Yes.
cooling? Okay.
It should, yes, that's the
Good.
plan.
Because, I mean, like, that's the whole purpose, so.
In a bathroom facility.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
Yes, so,
And a hand wash station, you can wash their hands somewhere.
Good.
Yeah, 'cause don't they also need an eye wash station? I mean, like, they're working with tools and
If their chemicals are in
shouldn't
there.
they not have that too? Safety?
Yeah,
Oh, my goodness.
yeah, that wouldn't be in this trailer. But I
No,
think-
but like in their garage, shouldn't there be an eye wash
I think,
station?
well, I think they have, they got the squirt bottle things, they have to have
Oh,
those
that's
by.
right, he showed us those.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
so I think, we've made some serious progress, I think, with that one, so we're good. All right, new business, window replacements. We have spoken about that,
Yeah.
We have 25 going in.
and we've talked about the park garage. How did it end up at unfinished and new?
To make
Yeah,
the point
it might
that
be.
something needs to happen.
It's just making it
Reaffirming.
Reaffirming. Well, as long as it has a bathroom and a place to eat, that's all I want for these guys.
Yeah.
Okay, any other business? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Wow. All right, motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you all very much.
You do that, I hope you don't